Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of D&D Horror Stories. Today we got something from Skeletor X. And the title, What Do I Do With This Player? So, for the last 2 years, I've been DMing for my group of friends. Recently, this player, let's call him John, has been ruining my and the other players' experience. I noticed John hasn't been role-playing very much. He didn't come last session, so I told him he might want to ask the other players what happened, as it involved a story that ties into his character's background. But he didn't care and didn't ask. We play online as we live too far away from each other, and I hear John sighing heavily into his microphone multiple times and hear his keyboard typing. When I ask him what he wants to do, he responds with, "What's happening?" And I have to explain the whole last 10 minutes again. Later in the session, the group's town was attacked and the other players wanted to help the civilians, but John just responded with, "They are just NPCs. It doesn't matter if we save them." This is not playing in character. He is not an evil guy who wants to see the world burn. He just thinks of them as NPCs. This one annoyed me the most. I was role-playing as the cousin of another player's character. The cousin barely survived a fight and lost his arm in the battle. It was an emotional role-play between me and the other player. Then John came in the middle of the dialogue and says, "Womp womp," multiple times. For people who don't know, this basically means go cry about it, or who cares. It just completely ripped us out of the roleplay and made me feel awkward. I didn't want to roleplay anymore because of this comment. It made me feel silly for doing the dying voice of the cousin. This one time, the players infiltrated a camp. They wanted to knock down their leader and interrogate them. They succeeded in this and tied the leader down. All seemed fine, and the players decided to let the leader live, as he could be useful later on. In the middle of the leader and another player talking to each other, John suddenly says, "I cut his throat." There was no conversation between players. The others were mad as this came out of nowhere, and me as a DM who feels like I can restrict the players' actions because they have free will and I don't want to limit them, let it happen. Bummer, dude. I didn't like it at all. The others tried to stop John and I let them roll to defend the leader. The last one is how he treats combat. I try to make it feel special and let the players describe how they attack the enemy. The other players describe their attacks and how they kill someone. But every single time John just rolls his dice. He doesn't even declare what he is going to do. Declares his damage and moves on. The attacks were always the same ones and doesn't use any creativity. The same problem as before. When I tell John it's his turn, he didn't pay attention and acts surprised, sometimes even needing me to say his name multiple times before he notices. I ended the session early because I noticed that the other players were bothered by it, and especially me. I didn't have fun anymore. John is also my friend. I just wanted your opinion. What should I do now? Do I make him leave so the others can have a better time, or is there another option? I already have given him multiple warnings for his behavior. No, I think everyone needs to sit down and talk to John. I think as a group, you need to sit down and ask what's bothering him about the game, because if it's not an RP moment that involves him, he makes fun of it. If it is an RP moment that involves him, he disapproves of it, or I can't really find the words. I'm not really a wordsmith, but he disassociates from it. And when it comes to combat, he's always he rolls his dice and moves on, meaning he's not having fun during combat either. So my guess is he's frustrated about something, maybe something outside the game, and maybe talking to him might fix this issue. But that's all I got for that one. This one comes from the TJK, annoying Murderhobo player. As a novice DM, we include a mutual friend, 21 male, who wanted to join a D&D campaign. I was running for 3 friends who were completely new to the hobby. He wanted to join as a female rogue character, and from that moment he joined, he started to consistently belittle and undermine the bard character, whom he didn't like in our friend group. To prevent this, I warned him, and he calmed down a bit, but then he began following NPCs who went to the restroom in the inn and tried to kill them silently to steal their belongings. When another character from the party, a sorcerer, went into the restroom to check what was happening, he tore his clothes and ran out, screaming that the sorcerer character had killed a man in the restroom and tried to, rape him. I suggested to the other players that we could end the game for now and replay the session as if these events hadn't happened, but they were eager to play and didn't want to disappoint their friend, so they decided to continue following these events. Many arguments at the bar and a bar fight ensued, after which the rogue character was beaten up and thrown out of the tavern. While the 3 characters were planning for their upcoming quest, the rogue character offered a large sum of gold to bandits in the town to raid the tavern and beat up the other party members. The bandits wanted the payment up front, but he didn't have the amount of gold he mentioned. Still, he tried to convince the bandits, dragging out the situation. As a DM, I got angry, but didn't want to kick him out, so I had the bandits beat him up and left his character with 1 HP thrown aside. He got very angry and said I was being unfair, and then announced he would set the tavern on fire without waiting for a response from me, rolling the dice. When he rolled a 20, he declared that he had set the tavern on fire and killed everyone inside. I took a deep breath and said that such a thing wouldn't happen, and that if he continued to behave like this, it would not be possible for him to play with this group. He got even angrier, acting more childish, and said I was a terrible, unfair, and crappy DM. That he could run the game better, and that he was only playing in my game because his friends wanted him to. Then he left the table. It was very strange. After he left, no one spoke for a while, and we just looked at each other until we decided to call it a day and continue another time. Now, I continue the campaign with my 3 friends, and none of us are in contact with the other mutual, quote-unquote, friend. Damn. Well, I'm glad he's no longer part of your game, because that sounds like a horrible player. That sounds like someone who woke up and chose violence. Holy crap. The fact that he started this game with killing NPCs in the bathroom, and then one of your players wanting to stop that, and then blaming that player for killing the NPCs in the bathroom, and then setting the tavern on fire. Wait, why? And just again rolling. Here's another example of rolling a natural 20 or rolling a 20, and that immediately means you get to do what you want. All I can say is I'm thankful you got out of that, and you are no longer in contact with him. Moving on. This one comes from Throwaway DM 7739. My players make me not want to continue playing with them. Throwaway account, so my players can't pin this on me. Be me, 35 male, DM, been DMing for 7 years, have been running a game for about 3 years with the same group. We took a year off due to scheduling concerns, with me being in between jobs and temporarily homeless. I was super excited to play this game, as it was my first homebrew game ever. I've ran modules before for about 9 groups, but this one was special to me and to my players as we built the world together. Session 0 was 6 hours long just because of that. Anyway, the hype had been great for the first year and a half, and I even planned a campaign too, as though these 5 people would be long-term friends and wanted to keep playing with me. Well, after a year-long hiatus, we all kept in contact very regularly, talking nearly every day. We come back to a scene nearly 3/4 of the way through the game. A player was promised to find a super rare item because it was one he requested long ago. It's important to his backstory. Well, he's been consistently complaining about not getting it, not knowing we are literally about to get it. Legendary items are important, and you can't just throw it at someone. It's not special that way. Another thing is, the other 4 players are ganging up on the Bard PC because sometimes he jokes too much, but the person behind the character is a nice guy who never steps on people's toes. They steal his spotlight, and while I've said to give everyone the spotlight, the other 4 have this newfound main character syndrome. Another player, unbeknownst to me, has been running a side campaign using our world set in the future. So now, when I try to say, "Oh, this happens," she explodes. Well, that's not what happens in our other story. Me not knowing about this side story is then crushed that they want to rewrite the story I've wrote for the potential future campaign. Also, 2 characters have went to great lengths to write stories for their characters after the campaign, and the same thing happens. Say the goblin NPC dies, and a character is upset because the goblin NPC is their fan favorite story. After the story, this whole debacle has made me want to drop the game and take some time off DMing as a whole. Can anyone else relate, or am I reading too much into it? I don't think you're reading too much into it. I think you need to rein in the horses a little bit. It seems, well, first off, you need to address that someone just straight up stole your campaign and is running a side campaign that's a conflict of interest when it comes to your campaign. Now, that can happen, and I wouldn't say just tell them to stop, but you can also tell them to stop referencing it in this game, as it to you has no bearing on your future campaign with your current homebrew campaign setting. As with the characters, just talk to them. It seems like they're bullying the bard, even though he's a nice guy. And I don't know, like when it comes to like the legendary item, yeah, it's important, but like I don't know. This one's a little tricky to me because there's so many like moving parts. I wouldn't take time off DMing. I would sit them down and address every issue that you have. And especially with the other game happening, because it's the world that you guys kind of made together and you were tasked with DMing it. So why exactly are they playing a separate game if they tasked you with DMing? So yeah, I'd talk to them about it. All right, with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining me today. These were some pretty bad horror stories, but I think a couple of them kind of solved themselves. Anyway, I want to thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things to push the video the best it can be. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.